All right, everyone. Welcome to our very first DevBlog Deep Dive. In this video, we're going to be covering the most recent DevBlog, and we're going to be covering all the content, and then we'll be talking about it. But before we do that, I want to introduce both myself and my friend here. So I'll start with myself. My name's Eric. I run the Walkscape Tips channel. I love the game very much. I've been playing since the first day of open beta, and I just really love the game to pieces, as you will see. And my friend will introduce himself now.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm LDH, and I joined in Wave 2 in the closed beta, and I've been loving it, like you said there, Eric. So thank you so much for having me be a part of your channel, and I can't wait to dive in.
No problem. So LDH and I have been talking for a while about different types of videos we want to make for the channel. And we both have a passion for the devblog that comes out because it's exciting to hear all the new things they're working on. And so basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through the devblog. We're going to be talking about what's there, what the content is, all the things that are coming, and then we're going to talk about it. So basically just think of this video as just kind of hanging out with some friends, talking about a game that you love. And we're hoping that maybe there'll be some conversation in Discord or whatever based off of any of the questions we pose or ideas we pose, because that's a place that we've both loved hanging out. I know that Reddit's pretty popular now and the portal's pretty popular, so we're just trying to create a place for people to focus on this game and have fun and just get excited. So as you can see below us is the devblog. We're going to be going through it piece by piece and kind of unpacking our thoughts and what is in the game.
So starting off, we've got 3 images from Max Chill, a wonderful artist here for Walkscape, that showcases 3 locations in Syrenthia, which is going to be a brand new realm coming up in about a month and a half that was discussed in previous Q&A. So I'm assuming that the top location is going to be like a mining spot, and that we're moving down to the sea kelp, which has got to probably be for like either wood cutting or foraging. Super exciting there. And then more of like a city there at the bottom is what it looks like to me. So hopefully a new bank and opportunity for several different either shops or activities there. So they look really, really good, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and the bottom one looks like some kind of like squid people. And yeah, it looks like a castle. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, yeah, maybe it'll be the bank or a city. That'd be pretty cool. So the next part of the devblog is some very, very exciting news. Shampoo has been interviewing a number of people. He got tons of applications for the new dev position that he's opening up. And they have picked their person. And this person is writing a little introduction in the devblog to explain who they are. Their name is, I'm going to read this. I think it's myzozoz. What do you think? Does that sound right?
That's my guess. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
I'd like to hear more on the story behind that. That's cool.
Yeah. I want to hear what myzozoz is too. Maybe one day we'll be lucky. We'll get to interview him or something. That'd be fun.
Nice.
Okay. So basically the content of his introduction is he says who he is. He does mention he's from Finland, which is great. He's close to the dev, a big part of the dev team over there. And the first pieces that he's going to be working on are the portal and the website, which is great because I was just thinking the other day how gravely the website needs an update. Just for clarity, so people know what they're doing. So it's very exciting to have him working with the team because, as Shampoo has said, he wears many hats. He does the business, he does the development, he oversees everything. And so having someone working full time from him who he can hand tasks to and say, please just make this part really awesome, is fantastic. So he's doing that with the portal and the website. And one thing Shampoo has mentioned is that by having a second dev, all of his anticipated timelines with developing features, those timelines were without the new staff member. So he anticipates with a new staff member all the timelines that he's put in place. He should at least be meeting them, if not passing them. And I hope he's not feeling any pressure from that. But yeah, we're very, very excited to have you, myzozoz. And I hope you're listening to this, and I hope you feel welcomed. You know, you may be new to us, but we welcome you and we hope that you really enjoy your time on this project.
I really love the last bit that he added where he was talking about like, hey, even if I don't get hired or something, can I please get a closed beta key or something? Like, he's passionate about the game as a
Yeah.
whole. Like, he really believes in it. And so I
Yeah.
think that can go a long way, just to have another set of eyes and, another brain on this, because,
Hmm.
I'm sure the workload that Shampoo's experiencing is kind of a lot. So just another, it's good to soundboard, right? And so
Yeah.
somebody who has good ideas and loves the game just as much, like, that's what you want in a dev team. It's great to have him on this. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Very exciting.
Next up, we have the Android pedometer update, which I myself have an iPhone, and so I'm interested about your personal experience there. Eric, you've got an Android and stuff.
Yep.
So a lot of what I've been seeing on Reddit, though, is people are basically finding things where they do use a third-party app like Google Fit or something, and it will be tracking several thousand steps, and then they'll log into Walkscape, and it either doesn't update, or it's just showing that for that day they got like 300 steps, and they're like, no, I've got more than that. So what have you experienced in this regard?
So I've had a pretty good experience. My phone has been behaving. I have used Google Fit for a while just because I played other games that used Google Fit. And I would say for pretty much all of the beta, there's a very, very close similarity between what I see on Google Fit and what I see in the game. If anything, the game has been a little bit more, which has been good. I know that a lot of Android users have been having huge troubles. I know that the Pixel phones have been having huge troubles. But I would say overall, I've been quite lucky. I really loved that they updated a while back how, if you restart your phone, you don't lose your steps, which is great. I think that was a huge quality of life improvement.
So here we have a screenshot of one of the internal testers showing their battery performance, and this is after 41 minutes of being on after a full charge, and it looks like 24% of total phone processing battery consumption was that of Walkscape running in the background. And so have you had high impacts? I believe this screenshot is after the optimization. So
Yeah.
what are you looking at with your phone?
Yeah, well, this screenshot is comparing two separate things. It's comparing the current Walkscape version going at the top there to one of the internal developers who are using the internal testing app, and there's a difference of 2% in the new development, like in the new changes they've made. It's using 2% battery, whereas the current one's using 24. So basically, it's comparing. So I know a lot of people, especially on the Pixel, have had huge battery usage issues, and so it looks like what they're doing on the new development side of things is really going to improve that. So. But me personally, on my phone, I haven't had huge issues with Walkscape in the background at all, actually. But I guess that's the challenge of Android, right? Like, you're dealing with so much different hardware. You're dealing with so many different tweaks to the operating system, depending on who your manufacturer is. Whereas Apple's just like, everyone gets the same thing. And so if they can make it work on an Apple, then they can make it work for all the Apples, I suppose. And the great news is apparently this fix is coming in next week. So for all you people who have your phone dying, hopefully you're going to be saved soon. But they did say that this will, of course, tweak the way the pedometer works. So next week, about 24 hours notice before the change comes live, they're going to give you notice. That way you can log in to the game and get all your steps in before they change the pedometer, because whatever steps you don't log before that change will be lost. So they're going to give you that notice. So keep an eye out for that. So the next topic on the DevBlog is that they're doing daily step graph improvements. I'm sure you've all had this issue where you do lots of steps, you don't log into the game before you go to bed, you come in the next day, and it logs all those steps in, and then all of a sudden at like 7 o'clock in the morning, you've done 10,000 steps all of a sudden. But then your previous day has like very little or something, and then you're like, that looks so lame. I have like 500 steps yesterday, but I really did 10,000. So they're actually doing a fix for that. So when you do log your steps, it'll actually apply them to the appropriate day, which I think is pretty cool. They're also going to do an update where you can check your weekly or daily or hourly averages. And I think being able to look at weekly averages is it's actually really neat. It's a neat way to compare with someone and see how you're doing versus them.
Absolutely. Actually shared my weekly progress and just like the whole profile. I used the share button in the app instead of just taking a screenshot or whatever. And I mean, it's organized so nicely. I got my avatar, my name and everything, skills. And there was my weekly breakdown, and it says in clear text there. So it's kind of neat. I mean, that's the beauty of this game, right? It's a real world accomplishment. It's not just, oh look, I logged in and grinded, for hours. Like you had to go and physically do that. So it's really neat. It can build some camaraderie or some competition for sure. So it's really good. So here we see a screenshot of the banking system in Walkscape. So there are banks where you can store your items and swap gear. And the benefit here with a new search and a more improved search function is that now you might not arrive at an activity to do something like wood cutting and realize that you forgot your axe or whatever. So now when you're at the bank and you need to make sure that everything is equipped, some keywords will expedite that process.
Yeah, so for example, let's say you're at the bank and you've got on all your smithing gear and you really want to go cut some trees. You could throw all your smithing gear in the bank, and then in the little search bar at the top, you can type in the word smith, and then that will show you all of the smithing related gear you have in the bank. And you can just pull it all out. Because the way it works now is when I want to get all my smithing gear out of the bank, I literally have to like take my eyes on every single line and be like, okay, which pieces are smithing? Okay, I think that's smithing. Yes. And I have to pull it out, and it's a big headache. So this will be a big deal. So the example that's shown here is for fish. As you can see, cooked perch and raw shrimp don't have the word fish in the name, but they've tagged the category of items now so that you can find it by category, which is going to be so nice and so good. All right, so this next part on the devblog has me really excited because I'm a big nerd. I get really excited about balance updates because game balance is kind of like what drives you. If there's one activity that like gets you huge rewards and huge benefits, you're going to want to do that thing. If there's something that kind of sucks and rewards you very poorly, then you're probably going to avoid that thing. And so one thing that they're saying in the devblog is that next week, when the update goes live for the pedometer changes, there are also going to be some balance changes that Flower Sifter has been working on. And for those of you that don't know, Flower Sifter is like kind of the number guy who crunches numbers and all that, and he works on new content with Max Chill. Flower Sifter joined his staff recently, which is super exciting. And so anyway, so he's going to be rebalancing a bunch of stuff, and I'm very curious to see what he rebalances. And I hope it makes some of the things that were boring or non-rewarding or non-exciting, I hope it kind of brings new life to them. So it got me thinking, I wonder what are the things he's going to tweak or update. LDH, I wonder if you have any guesses on what he might be tweaking with.
Yeah, I know that there are certain activities like horseshoe making, for example, that I've done that not only does this activity which is for blacksmithing, by the way, it doesn't require inputs. Like I don't have to put ore or ingots or anything into it. I just show up and click start activity. And yet I not only get ludicrous amounts of XP for blacksmithing, but I also get ingots out of it. So that's a win-win. And in 200 steps, I got so many ingots that I also a variety of them. So I didn't have to have a variety of ores that I was like, well, I'll just do this. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, it's a really good way to build smithing. So horseshoe making is a very funny activity because at the lowest minimum step, you can get, I think, 1.25 experience per step in that activity. And I think smithing Fargonite, I think, is like 1.4 or 1.5. And in order to smith something out of Fargonite, you got to like get all the ore first and then make it. So when you're simply looking at just smithing XP, horseshoe making like blows everything out of the water. And then you get like tons of iron, copper, and bronze bars. And as you mentioned, in very, very high amounts, very confusingly high amounts. And so, yeah, and you don't have to like put anything into it. Anyway, yeah, I know that they added horseshoe making and tinkering as a way to kind of get people's skills up and to experiment with skill designs. And I think that's really great. But I'm really hoping that, I mean, I'm sure there are people who don't agree with me, but I'm really hoping that they add input requirements. Like you got to put bars into horseshoes, and you got to put some kind of materials into tinkering, because you're getting resources out of it, but it doesn't require any resources. And while that's really great from I get lots of stuff really fast perspective, it's really bad for the perspective of it makes the actual process of gathering resources a bit obsolete just from an XP perspective. So if you have someone who's after the leaderboard for smithing, they're not going to be making mining and making bars. They're just going to be making horseshoes. Or if you have someone who's after crafting XP and that's all they're after, they're just going to be tinkering. They're not going to have to gather resources and do this at this point before there's training. And so I really hope that that's part of his look. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, tell me your thoughts on, all right, you said, hey, unpopular opinion here, which I share the same. It's like, if we're getting output, then it should require input. Like, that's kind of only fair, right? Especially because of the XP gain. So if it didn't give output, would you still think that it should require input in exchange for high XP? Or if it doesn't require input, could it have a lower output of XP, but the same output of material?
I think that's a good question. I think just from an XP perspective, I think they're overtuned. I think they need to tone down the XP a lot. I think they need to make it, for example, making horseshoes, I think they need to make it comparable to the XP cost of the time it would take to mine to make the bars. If they required input, I think that would solve it. They'd have to decide what that would be for tinkering. I don't know. For horseshoe making, obviously, you just want to pick a bar of some kind. Yeah, I think an input would basically solve it. If they don't want to go that route and they want to leave it without an input for now, maybe just because it's beta and they're still playing with stuff, I think just tuning down the numbers would be better. Because I've wanted to do smithing competitively at some point on leaderboards, and literally that just means I'm sitting making horseshoes, a level like 20 or 25 activity, and that's a bit depressing. And
imagine you get your blacksmith to a really high level, but you've spent your whole blacksmithing days making horseshoes, but suddenly you know how to make one of the best armors in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff they're going to add between now and combat. Combat's like much later in closed beta. And I get it. Like they're probably not too stressed about certain parts of the economy yet. And then they've also said once trading gets added, like things will have a higher value. So for example, you can buy ore and sell bars. And so that again then kind of makes horseshoe making obsolete, because people are actually going to pay you for your time making bars. So I get that. So maybe this is just a temporary thing until trading comes in, and I can live with that. But I'm very curious what these balance changes are. Because if it changes the meta, people are going to chase the meta. At this point in the devblog, they're mostly just talking about what they're doing for next time with a few closing remarks. So one thing they talked about at the end of the devblog is how they're, of course, supported by us, the players. So anyone who's loving this game, I thank you for supporting it. Anyone who can, please do it. I know that a big chunk of the population did get in for free by applying and waiting, so that's great. I really liked a quote that I have here from the devblog that said, "I'm strict about maintaining independence. So we're focused on creating the best possible game for our community, not generating the largest possible returns for investors." So when small studios like this, like Not a Cult, start out, they often have a lot of investors that are interested in investing. And that's one thing that Shampoo has mentioned at conventions. They literally have people walking up to them and saying, "Hey, we want to give you money and be part of this process," and of course get returns in the end. And he has turned them down. Because he wants the freedom to develop the game in the best way possible to make the best impact in the world. And if you have investors coming in and you're responsible to give them returns, I guess percentage-based returns, and they're putting their money into it. It's a hard argument for why you're not putting in microtransactions, why you're not adding this or adding that, or why you're designing the game in this way. Whereas Shampoo and the team, they really want this to be a healthy, constructive thing for the world, which I've experienced a lot. And so that's why they're focused on the best possible game for the community and not generating the largest possible return for investors. So I love that they're still committed to that, and that's the goal.
I think it also helps set the pace, right? Because if you're worried about making a deadline because of the investors and stuff, then that changes your motivation a little bit for developing the game. And thus far, it's been awesome that this has been a patient quality process. And I think the community has been really, really good about maintaining excitement while being very patient as well. And so it's incredible to have such a developer that is not looking at quantity. He really is dedicated to quality here, and we get the benefit for that. So
absolutely. This DevBlog deep dive that we're doing today, this is going to be a series that we're going to do every 2 weeks. The DevBlog comes out on the Thursday, and we're going to try and have it up as soon as possible. Our goal with this is, again, just to give people a place to digest the new information that's coming in, to hear a couple nerds with the game talk about it and enjoy it and talk about how it impacts the game and impacts us, and just create pieces of content online that helps make the game more relevant and connect with people.
Yeah, this was really exciting just to hear, especially for Android users. That's a pretty big chunk there where we get a big update there. Of course, I always look forward to future content. I really like the adventure and exploration aspect of games, and so I'm drooling over what Syrenthia is going to be. And so the teaser at the beginning already had me hooked. I was like, yes, I'm so excited. We both really, really love to just dwell on everything that these dev blogs have to say, and I think a lot of the community relies on it to like keep them patient and excited for the next parts too.
If you guys have any thoughts on what you've seen so far, you're welcome to comment below. You can also hit us up on Discord. And we look forward to seeing you guys in Discord or any way you want to connect with us.